Welcome to this week's edition of Liquid Options TV, a weekly options trading show with strategies, research, and tips to improve your options trading, hosted each week right here on the Vertical Spread Options Trading YouTube channel. My name is Eric, and in this video, I'm going to show you how I set up my charts for my Bollinger Band strategy in Thinkorswim, and then we'll see what's happening in the current market. All that and more coming right up. All right, so let's get started. I'm in Thinkorswim. I have no indicators on the chart, and we're going to be adding two indicators together that I think work well together, which is the Bollinger Bands and the RSI. And we'll talk about the settings here, and eventually we'll get into the market after this quick setup. So in Thinkorswim, I go to Edit Studies, and I can add both of them in here at the same time. If I spell it right, there we go, Bollinger Bands. Now, the way that I'm using Bollinger Bands, mainly, especially with the current market, is on shorter time frames. And the general idea of the strategy is when the market makes sort of a quick extreme move in any direction, and we measure that with RSI and Bollinger Bands, then I look to place credit spreads to sort of fade the move, if you will. So with that, I prefer using a shorter time frame Bollinger Band because the frequency of the signals are going to be a little bit more. Now, there's a little bit more you need to look at with the nuances for taking those trades, but again, those are the settings I'm using. So instead of a 10 period look back, instead of a 20 period look back, I'm using a 10 period look back, which makes that middle line the 10 period simple moving average. So, that's also helpful. You can kind of see where it's trading. You can see the last couple of days we popped back above that. We're kind of holding here into the elections. But again, we'll talk about the market in a few minutes. So let's go ahead and add in the RSI real quick. And I've been using a shorter time frame, which I've done a lot of videos on, where you can also find extreme moves with the RSI. I'm going to use the default oversold and overbought settings of 30 and 70 with an RSI of 4. So in general, the Bollinger Band and RSI strategy I've talked about in the last couple of videos is when the market makes extreme moves and the RSI is overbought. Once the volatility starts to come in and you've hit this oversold condition, this was oversold, then you can look at making short-term credit spread plays. You can still get out of the money, and if you get some kind of mean reversion, that volatility comes in quick. And if you're dealing with options that expire in less than a week, if you're in my Facebook group, you've seen me put out a bunch of trades, or if you support me over on Patreon, we've been doing a lot of studies and discussions about this. But basically, we're looking to do short-term moves, and the general idea, and we'll kind of go ahead and just roll right into the market, is the market's so volatile right now that I've been telling members that it's been hard to feel confident in putting on new monthly trades out in November or December. So I've been sticking to smaller time frames, and I'll go ahead and drill down to like a 30-minute chart, and we'll just look at the last couple days. You can see that, again, the market popped up here. This was a gap up on Wednesday and started to trade sideways. We're overbought, and I can't remember if it was this one or this one, but when the market does this, and yes, it was actually this day, then you look at the market maker move, and if the market maker move is 20 or 30 points, if you can sell a credit spread outside that upper band after a couple candles, then you have a pretty good chance of that staying out of the money the rest of the day. So you can collect some of that theta pretty quick, and you can see that the RSI starts to roll over here. So again, I'll put some links in the description, and you can check out the previous videos on that strategy. But I just wanted to kind of show you how I set up the charts in Thinkorswim with the settings that I use. Again, the Bollinger Bands, I'm using a 10 period look back, and I'm using the RSI with a setting of 4. All right, so let's go back out to the daily chart. And one of the things I've been talking about with members over on Patreon is basically we had that nice gap up. And even though today was a little crazy, we had sort of a gap up. We had that big move yesterday and gap up, and we kind of rolled over today. Apple reported earnings, and apparently they're going to stop reporting the number of devices they sell. I don't know if that's good or bad, and but anyway, Apple took it on the chin. They were down almost 7% on the day, which ultimately held the NASDAQ down a little bit. The NASDAQ was down about 1.5%, but it's still above that 10 SMA. So it wasn't too bad, but Apple definitely kept the market from rallying today. I think the best news, and we'll see how long it lasts, but the tariff talk with China seems to have calmed down a little bit. The big issue, though, is we're heading into elections next week, and depending on how the Democrats and Republicans do, that could sway the market. I'm not an expert in that. I don't know which way it would sway. I think a lot of it's already baked in, to be honest with you, because the economy is still pretty good. But again, if the elections don't go the way the market likes it, then we could revisit the lows here. So that's kind of, again, keeping me out of new monthly spreads. Once the market does make a move and the elections are over, and we have the certainty of from the political standpoint, we have some certainty over the next year or two, then we can start picking levels and things. But in the meantime, I'm looking at smaller time frame Bollinger Bands, both the 30-minute and the hourly chart, and just looking to fade short-term extreme moves. And sometimes you don't even get the trades. You see here, this was a gap up. This is today, right? We gapped up. I did not take this trade because I typically don't take the first one, and we kind of came in, and then ultimately, as we get down to these levels, the RSI, I'm sorry, the Bollinger Band, the upper band is still moving higher, so I don't try to short that move, or I in this case, I would not try to get long until the upper band kind of rolls over, because this is telling you that the selling is pretty intense. And here was sort of the peak of the selling, which was around noon, the lunch hour. But then as the RSI rolls over up here, that is a good time to initiate an out of the money credit spread. Then you get the mean reversion that you're looking for. So if you're interested in learning more about that, definitely subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. I could really use some likes and shares. And if you have any questions, just put it in the comment section. I usually check the comments each day. And you guys have a great week. And I hope you'll join me next week for Liquid Options TV. Okay, thanks. Bye.